My name's Jerry Henry, and I appreciate the opportunity to be here tonight. As you said, I decided to run for the Kansas State Senate. Senate District is number 1. It's quite a large area. It covers 7 counties. Parts are all of 7 counties: Atchison, Donovan, Jackson, Brown, Omaha, and parts of Marshall, and parts of Potawatomi. So it goes from Elwood, Kansas to the city limits of Manhattan, Kansas. So I started my public service time in Atchison. I ran for the Atchison City Commission in 1986 and won a 4-year term. And my last year on the City Commission, I was the mayor of Atchison, so 1989. So in 1992, I decided to try a bid for the for the Kansas House of Representatives, and won a seat there, and have been a member of the House of Representatives for 24 years. We were in Topeka today. Today was sine die, which means without a day left, and so that's what we had, our final day. Unfortunately, it probably wasn't our final day. It sounds like we probably will be called back in special session to deal with maybe a school funding issue. So I decided to leave my post in the House of Representatives and make an attempt to run for the state Senate. I will be running against the incumbent. His name is Senator Dennis Pyle from Hiawatha. Senator Pyle's been in office for 3 terms, 12 years, so, and he is now filed to run yesterday, so it'll be he and I on the ballot here in November 8th. Education is always very important. Our budget, every tax dollar that we spend in the state of Kansas, 63 cents of that tax dollar will end up in an educational budget, either in early education, preschool, K through 12, college, universities. We spend a lot of money on education. It's very important. And for me, it's one of the most important things we do is to educate our kids, our children. And whether you have kids in school or not, it's very important to us. And it's becoming more and more important. Our founding fathers said our kids need a suitable education, and if you look at the word suitable, it means appropriate for the times you live in, which is very important word that they come up with back in the 1870s, to think that they were thinking about suitable meaning the time you live in, that education is not just learning how to read and do arithmetic. It has to be appropriate for the challenges that these children will have to face in their lifetime. So, and that's ever changing. I still have elderly people say they should learn how to add and subtract with a pencil. Those days are over. We need to have a new look at those type of things. Jerry has talked about education being so important. If we lose an individual high school kid that walks away from school, doesn't get a diploma, high school dropout, do you know what that does to us as a society? 80% of the people in our prisons in Kansas, 80% dropped out of high school. 72% of the people, of the children that walked out of high school and didn't get a high school degree, 72% were on welfare. Okay? So maybe people say, hey, just because they didn't get their education, it's no skin off me. Well, it is skin off us. It comes back. Jerry just talked about it. And if you look back, a lot of those individuals sitting up in jail had a very rough time in school. So education is very important. Probably one of the things that I'm most interested in working on. Jerry also talked about, we have a lot of issues in our society that we have to talk about. And mental health, crime, all those issues. It gets down to social issues. It kind of surprised me today, half of the residents of our nursing homes in Kansas, half of them are there because with the taxpayer support. So you may say, hey, nursing home is nothing to me. I hope I never have to go there. And we all don't want to, but we're supporting half the people in nursing. Bill knows that. This county runs the nursing home, and it goes every day. It's a challenge every day to meet all the needs that we have to meet there with our people, and we have to do that. So the last thing I want to talk about is always be positive. I know that's part of this issue of what you're doing, Project Atchison. We have so many people that are very upset with the direction of the country, direction of our city, the direction. I don't vote because I don't ever see anything improving, and those are things we have to work on, and that we have to make things better, and that we have to make things go right. But the other thing is we always have issues in Atchison. You know, I've lived in Atchison now almost 60 years, you know, and every town has issues we have to talk about. No time's perfect. When they put me out at Mount Calvary, things are going to happen in Atchison we need to keep working on, okay? And that's part of life, and that's part we need to do. And those are things we need to talk about with our citizens. Voting is very important, okay? I was going to talk about tonight how very important voting is. And, you know, our whole form of government is set up on we the people. And it's the people that have to make those issues. It's not electing Alan Rivas or Bill Pohl or Jerry Henry or Jerry Cookman. It's the people electing, getting involved, and electing the people that they want to see happen. You're electing me to reflect what the people want, and that's why it's so important that we have people voting and we have people involved. You know, even if it's being on the church council, you don't have to be the mayor or the county commissioner or anything. Just the little things are very important in our communities. I'm not going to say saying that that's little, but those are the things that people. I don't want to be involved in anything because I have to make a vote or I have to go to a meeting or anything like that. Well, those are very important, just as important as our job, just as important as being a state senator. Working with your church, working with a Little League baseball or whatever you're doing is just support to your community, make it work and go. So that's why I wanted to come tonight, really not to say vote for me. I don't care who you vote for. I want you to be involved in your community and be involved in what's going on. And I'm glad you're taking the time to hear what people have to say and what's important to them. And so, you know, taxes are important. What we have to pay for things is very important, and we have to balance those out. We are in the middle of doing a lot of that right now, and surprisingly, that's the way it's been since the beginning of time, since they were throwing tea off the boat in Boston, the Boston Tea Party. It was over taxation. So that's always going to be here. It's always going to be an issue. We just have to learn to embrace it and go with it. So thanks for the time tonight. I'll answer any questions anybody has. There are a lot of things going on, and I appreciate, again, being here. Sure. Go ahead.
I actually have a question about just on, in general, your opinion of the state of mental health in Kansas, and the Osawatomie State Hospital and funding, lack thereof, for all aspects of mental health in Kansas.
Sure. Well, and you know, mental illness is on the rise. It's becoming more and more prevalent. I contend, if you look back, that you know, probably mental illness has been a part of us. It's now become more recognizable. We have more treatable ways of taking care of those issues. I think a lot of people hid mental illness. We have to look at, I mean, there are a lot of things we can do. Medication has helped us keep a lot of beds from being open. People say, wow, we seem to have all these, well, you know, back in, 30 years ago, the state of Kansas was operating 4 mental health institutions. You know, we used to say, hey, this person's crazy. Let's put them in a car and take them to Osawatomie or to Norton or to get them to an institution where we try to do that locally now, community-wise. Work with the families, work with the, keep them here, because once you take them from society, they're going to have a hard time reintegrating. So we got to keep them here, and that's why we were really moving toward community type of organizations and things. We passed a big bill this year on youth, community corrections for youth, trying very hard to keep them out of group homes, because once we put them in there, they almost become habitual criminals. So we got to get that taken care of. And mental illness is a part of that on the youth side. So we still have to work on it. We're in this turn. We're turning away from hospital beds and institutional care towards community care, and how to do that with family and that's right. We're in the infancy of those stages, but that's what we need to work on, is those type of things.
I guess my main question would be the waiting list for Osawatomie State Hospital and the overflow into our county jails.
Sure.
And hospitals, and the like week to 2 week long waiting list.
Sure.
Of these people who have nowhere to go, but definitely need hospital care, and it's not available to them.
Yeah.
So just kind of like what your solutions are for solving that problem.
Well, first of all, we have to get the Osawatomie back open. It's been decertified by the federal government because of some issues that happened there of safety of the patients plus safety of staff. And we are moving toward that. We've put $17 million into that, get that open. But at the same time, we also have to keep shoring up with funding the community part of that, the community parts of that, and help with that. So we're in that. We need to get that back opened up. Those beds opened. We need to expand that to where, Because as you know, we now have, as you've already alluded to, we got people in jails waiting for that, hospitals waiting for those type of services, and the community has just ran out of options for that. So we need to get those back opened up and work on that, which is something I'd like to put more funding into.
Thank you.
Hey, yeah, sorry, I came late.
Sure.
So you may have already touched on this, but can you just maybe speak to as to why you decided to run for the Senate and some of the major things that you want to focus on if and when you get elected?
Sure. Well, the issue, and I think we'll probably get into that a little bit today. We're seeing a movement. I mean, in government, everybody would love to see the pendulum swings back and forth in government and the way things happen. Everybody would love to see it stop in the middle. It's never in the middle. Okay, we're swinging back and forth. We've been in a little bit of a conservative mode, and I think our current senator is kind of really in that ultra-conservative, and I kind of wanted to say, I just kind of want to present to the voters a little different aspect of that. I want to see stronger for public education. You know, I think our tax code needs to be changed. It goes back to some of the more wealthy being part of this. We have almost now 350,000 businesses that pay no income taxes, and we need to kind of relook at that tax structure and bring some of that funding back in, make it fair, balanced, and equitable to everybody, and then take care of some of these issues that we are talking about tonight: education, mental health, services for the elderly. You know, highways. Highways are, you know, don't look like it right now, but we're going to have some big major troubles with our highways here. In a very, you know, all highways will fall apart at the same time, and then we're in trouble. So those are all issues that I wanted to discuss and talk about. And the current senator and I will have some very different directions of how we want to run the state government, and you'll probably see that in the campaign. Okay.
Any more questions? All right, well, thank you.
Thanks for allowing me
Appreciate
the
it.
opportunity.
Thank you for coming.